Have you ever, like, really sat down and thought about what happiness actually is?
Yeah.
It's kind of one of those questions that's been around forever, right?
And
People have been trying to figure it out for
I've thought
centuries.
about that for a long time.
But today we're going to go beyond just, like, vague definitions
Right.
and look at a really interesting perspective on happiness. The 14th Dalai Lama.
Oh, now that's fascinating.
What I find so interesting is how his approach is different.
Yeah.
It's not about all the usual stuff.
You know, like money, success, all those things.
Exactly the things we think we're supposed to chase.
Right.
So we're going to take a deep dive into this episode of the Happiness Conversations podcast,
Okay.
where they really get into the Dalai Lama's philosophy.
Awesome.
Get ready for some, like, surprisingly practical stuff.
I'm intrigued already.
Even if you're not into Buddhism or anything like that.
I think that's the beauty of his teachings.
Yeah.
They really speak to everyone,
Right?
no matter what you believe.
It's just this, like, different lens for understanding happiness, especially in such a stressful world.
For sure.
So before we jump into the specifics,
Sure.
can you just remind everyone who the Dalai Lama is
Of course.
and why we should even care about what he has to say about happiness?
Absolutely. So he's the spiritual leader of Tibetan Buddhism,
Right.
a figure with a lot of global influence, especially when it comes to things like peace and compassion.
Yeah, he's like a champion for human values.
That's a good way to put it.
It goes beyond religion.
Exactly.
So it's almost like universal wisdom.
Yeah, anyone can tap into it.
Okay, so his approach to happiness,
Yes.
is it like a framework anyone can use?
Absolutely. For
Yeah.
anyone seeking a deeper understanding of well-being.
Fascinating.
Right.
So what makes his view on happiness so unconventional?
Well, he kind of dismantles the common idea.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That was so...
That happiness is something you get direct, like from external things.
Oh, okay, like wealth
Yeah.
or success.
Exactly.
Got it.
Instead, he has this radical idea
Okay.
that happiness is a byproduct.
A byproduct is
Yeah.
interesting.
A byproduct of what? He believes it's a byproduct of cultivating a compassionate heart and a peaceful mind.
Okay, so it's not about getting stuff.
No, not at all.
It's more about...
It's about who you are,
Oh, I see.
how you are.
Interesting.
And he also emphasizes this interconnectedness.
Interconnectedness.
Yeah, like your happiness is tied to how you treat others.
Okay, so it's more than just being nice.
Yeah, it goes deeper than that.
Right, so there's this implication that, like...
That by choosing to cultivate compassion, we're actually creating the conditions for happiness
Interesting.
to like naturally arise.
I like that.
There's a famous quote from him
Oh, yeah.
that captures it perfectly.
Okay, let's hear it.
If you want to be happy, practice compassion.
Powerful stuff.
Right.
But how do you actually do that?
That's the big question.
Like, how do I cultivate this kind of happiness
Yeah.
the Dalai Lama's talking about?
Well, that's where the real substance of his teachings comes in.
Okay, I'm listening.
He points to practices like mindfulness and compassion as the keys.
Mindfulness, okay, so being present?
Exactly. Being fully present in the moment
Yeah.
and allowing yourself to detach
From...
from those negative thoughts
Oh, right.
and emotions that can kind of steal our joy.
I know those thoughts.
They all do.
So less dwelling on the past
Yes.
or worrying about the future.
Right.
More just being here now
Exactly.
is like it.
And then there's compassion.
Okay.
This isn't just about like helping others on the surface.
Right.
It's more about actively reducing feelings.
Feelings like...
Anger, jealousy, resentment.
Oh, those are tough ones.
They are.
The things that block inner peace.
And ultimately happiness, too.
Right, it's like an inside job.
Exactly.
So this inward shift is crucial.
It really is.
I'm curious, though.
Yeah.
Does the Dalai Lama talk about specific ways
He does.
to cultivate this compassion and inner peace?
The Happiness Conversations episode we're talking about.
Right.
They dive into some practical techniques.
Okay.
One that they highlight is gratitude.
Gratitude.
Yeah, it's all about shifting our focus
Yeah.
from what we lack to what we already have.
For what we have.
Yeah, even the simple things.
This reminds me of gratitude journals.
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard of those?
Of course.
Would you recommend that?
They actually suggest that in the podcast.
Oh, wow.
It can be surprisingly powerful.
Mm.
Just jotting down a few things you're grateful for each day.
Yeah.
It can really shift your perspective.
That's a great tip.
Right.
Even a small action like that
Mm-hmm.
can make a difference.
Totally.
I think a lot of people listening, though,
Yeah.
might be wondering why these ancient ideas,
Mm.
these practices
Yeah.
are relevant to us today.
That's a great question.
We live in a different world
We do.
than people did centuries ago.
That's such an important question.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, modern life, it throws a lot at us.
It does.
Stress, constant competition,
Yeah.
that feeling of never being enough.
I know it.
It's a lot.
It is.
And in many ways,
Yeah.
the Dalai Lama's teachings address these challenges directly.
Interesting. Okay, so
Like these ancient practices, they offer a way to step outside.
outside of
Yeah, like all the striving and comparison.
right, all that stuff that dominates our world.
Exactly. It's about focusing on inner peace and real connection with others,
Okay, so
which ultimately leads to...
a deeper sense of well-being.
Exactly.
I feel like there's a mental health aspect here too, right?
Absolutely.
Like compassion and mindfulness.
Yeah, they're not just some fluffy concepts.
Right,
They're
there.
practical tools for building resilience.
And we all need that.
We do, to deal with the challenges of life.
Yeah, they can help us respond differently,
With more grace and strength.
even when things get tough.
Absolutely.
Okay, this is all making so much sense.
So good.
But where do we even begin?
Yeah.
What are some small, tangible things our listeners can do
Okay.
to tap into this wisdom?
Well, we've already talked about mindfulness,
Right.
compassion,
Yeah.
and the power of a gratitude journal.
Right.
Even just a few minutes each day.
Okay.
With any of these practices, it
Yeah.
can make a difference.
It's like a ripple effect.
Exactly.
This reminds me of that quote from the Dalai Lama.
Oh, which one?
If you want others to be happy, practice compassion.
Yes.
If you want to be happy, practice compassion.
Such a good one.
It really highlights this idea
Yeah.
that happiness isn't selfish.
Right.
It actually expands outward.
It's like this feedback loop of positivity,
Mm.
and it starts by realizing
Yeah.
that happiness is an inside job.
An inside job.
You cultivate it.
Okay.
You don't chase it.
So it's not about stumbling upon it
Nope.
or achieving it overnight.
Right.
It's more about,
It's about a way of being.
I like that.
It's empowering.
It is.
Because no matter what's going on around us,
We have the power to shape our own happiness.
that brings us to the end of this episode of Happiness Conversations.
It flew by.
I know, right?
So much good stuff.
We only scratched the surface.
Barely.
What stood out to you the most
That's a good question.
from the Dalai Lama's teachings?
For me, it's how he challenges the whole definition of happiness.
Oh, yeah.
The one we're always bombarded with.
You mean like...
Like, it's not about getting more things or
Right.
achieving some arbitrary level of success.
Yeah.
It's about cultivating a way of being that prioritizes things like inner peace.
And connection.
Yes, and compassion.
And that's something anyone can work towards.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter your background or beliefs.
I think that's what's so beautiful about his message.
Yeah.
It goes beyond any specific religion or philosophy.
Right.
It's about recognizing that we're all connected and choosing to be a good human being.
That's a powerful path to happiness.
It is.
I feel like if someone asked me, what is happiness now? Yeah,
I'd have a much better answer.
me too.
It's not just the fleeting feeling.
Right.
It's something we can actually cultivate.
Within ourselves.
Exactly.
That's ultimately the goal, right?
Yeah,
To take
okay.
these big ideas
Yeah.
and actually apply them to our lives.
Make them real.
Make them meaningful.
This episode focused on the Dalai Lama.
It did.
But it makes me wonder,
Yeah.
are there other figures or philosophies
Mm.
that offer similar insights on happiness?
Definitely there are a lot of wisdom traditions
Okay.
that emphasize similar things.
Like,
Inner peace, compassion, mindfulness
interesting.
as keys to happiness.
Any examples?
Sure, like Stoicism.
Stoicism.
Yeah, that's an ancient Greek philosophy.
Okay.
And it really emphasizes finding happiness
Through
virtue
Yeah.
and accepting what we can't control.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
even though they come from different places,
Different cultures, different times.
it's like they all have this similar idea
It's like a universal truth.
woven through them.
Yeah, I think exploring these different perspectives
Mm-hmm.
can really help us understand
Understood.
what resonates with us
On a deeper level,
as individuals.
the Dalai Lama's views are inspiring.
They are.
But are there any critiques
Oh, that's a good point.
or counter-arguments to his approach?
Yeah, it's always good to look at things from all sides.
Right.
Some critics might say
Yeah.
that his emphasis on compassion
Mm-hmm.
and selflessness
Okay.
might neglect individual needs and desires.
Oh, I see. So
Like focusing too much on others,
could lead to
neglecting our own well-being,
right,
or even making ourselves vulnerable.
to being taken advantage of.
Exactly.
That's a valid concern.
It is.
It's about finding a balance
Yes.
between caring for ourselves, caring for others,
Exactly.
and recognizing that compassion doesn't mean becoming a doormat.
It doesn't.
True compassion
Yeah.
involves setting boundaries
Healthy boundaries.
and realizing that we have to be well ourselves
We do.
to truly support others.
That's so important.
So it's not about self-sacrifice or denying our own needs.
Right.
It's about
It's about finding that middle ground.
that harmony.
Exactly.
Between the two.
And that balance.
Yeah,
It might look different for everyone.
right.
The key is self-awareness. Being honest about our limits.
Yeah.
Cultivating compassion and kindness without compromising our own well-being.
So this idea of balance,
Yes.
it's crucial to really understanding and applying the Dalai Lama's teachings
In a healthy and sustainable way.
in a way that works.
Absolutely.
This all underscores the importance of self-reflection.
It does.
We need to understand ourselves,
Yes.
our motivations,
Right.
and where our boundaries are.
So important.
It's not about blindly following rules. It's about taking these ideas and making them our own
Integrating them into our lives.
in an authentic way.
Yes, in a way that feels true to who we are.
It's a process
It is.
of learning and growing
And refining
how we apply these principles.
to our own unique lives.
Yeah, it's not about like reaching some perfect level of happiness.
Right. It's more about how we deal with life's ups and downs.
With more resilient.
And peace.
Yeah. Like the journey matters more than the destination.
Exactly. And remember, the Dalai Lama talks about this.
What's that?
Happiness is an individual journey.
Mm.
There's no one right way.
So what works for me?
Might not work for you.
It's about finding what clicks for each of us.
What feels right.
What brings that inner peace?
And fulfillment.
That's what we're all searching for.
It is.
It's empowering to think we have that control.
We do.
We can shape our own happiness.
You have the power within you.
That's a great message to end on.
It is.
The Dalai Lama's perspective. It really makes you think
It does.
about how we define happiness,
And how our actions affect not just ourselves.
but the people around us.
Our choices matter.
It's like this recognition that we're all connected
At the heart of it all,
and a call to create a better world.
where happiness and compassion can thrive.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the Dalai Lama's philosophy,
Yeah.
I want to leave you with one final thought.
Okay.
He says, happiness is an individual journey, not about chasing things.
So true.
What would it mean for you to see happiness as something you cultivate
From within.
rather than something you chase out in the world?
That's something to really think about.
As we continue on our own journeys,
It is a profound question.
it makes you think about what's important,
Your values, your priorities.
what truly matters.
In living a fulfilling life.
On that note,
Yeah.
we'll leave you to ponder that.
Keep diving deep.
And until next time,
Keep seeking wisdom.
the kind that helps you understand yourself and the world around you.